Top of the morning, planet Earth, and to all you manly men and lovely ladies out there, a hearty and healthy Irish hello. You're listening to the Healthy Coach radio show where science, spirituality, and self-discovery, they meet, they hug, they do their thing, and everything in between. All right, welcome to the show, boy. Now, I know I say this every week. And I mean it every week. It's not like I make it up every week. I actually mean what I say what I mean, and I do my best never to say it mean. Oh, by the way, if you're listening in, if you're in your car, then you're listening in at 92.5 FM on the dial. You probably already knew that since you're in your car listening. But did you know that you had a dent on the back of your car? Bet you didn't know that. Drive safely while you're listening to the show. And if you're sitting at home and you're in the etheric realm, if you're in the realm of I don't know, or you're in the realm of I want to know, or you're in the realm of just sitting on the lazy boy listening to the show, you're probably picking it up on the wacky and worldwide web at kows.fm. F for Frank and M for Matilda. All right, we got a great show today. We're going to be talking about life is simple. All the rest is your thinking. Now, let me just take a little sip of my tea here before we get into this, because it's a big subject. Oh, yes. Very big. As big as your head. And I mean that's good. I mean no insult by that. It's just something we say in Ireland. It's as big as your head. That doesn't mean that it's actually as big as your head. It just means that it's big. Your head might be small, but what we're saying is big. And in relation to your head, it hasn't really any meaning whatsoever. It's more esoteric. It's more philosophical. It's more analogical. You get the idea. All right. Life is simple. All the rest is your thinking. Here's what we're going to be talking about today on the show. And I say show lightly. No, it is a show. It's a big show and a small show. Today you're listening to the little show, and it's part of a bigger show. They call that life sometimes. Soothing yourself with thoughts of the future. Ah, yes. I don't like my present moment, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to think up thoughts of a better future, and that'll make me feel better in this moment. Now, it does short term. But if you've got something, a recurring problemo that keeps coming up over and over again, then thinking yourself in the future, it doesn't work long term. Short term, it's great. You have a fight with the missus or with the hubby, and you think, well, it'll be better tomorrow. It's horrible and hasty and heinous and hickerish today, but tomorrow it'll be better. So one of the things we always do is we soothe ourselves with thoughts of the future. Well, in the future it'll be better. Tomorrow I'll get a life. Tomorrow it'll be better. Tomorrow I'll change that bad habit. Tomorrow I'll get a better relationship. Tomorrow I'll make some money. Tomorrow I'll finish that project. Taking out the trash or cleaning the garage. Whatever it might be. And my assumption on the whole thing is, why do tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow? So that's just a little side note. So we're going to be talking about that, thoughts of the future. We're going to be talking about bad habits and innocent misuse of thought. Now, what does that mean? Well, again, let me take a sip of tea. What does it mean? Well, think about it this way. We all have bad habits. Now, I use that lightly. I use that word bad lightly because it's the best thing that I can come up with. Bad. We call them negative habits, bad habits, habits that we don't want, habits that we keep quiet about, habits that we keep in the closet, habits that we only tell the dog about in the hopes that he won't tell anyone else except maybe the cat or the bird or another dog that he's sniffing on the way out to the park. When we look at bad habits, bad habit is basically something you feel compelled to do, right, or not to do so that you can feel safe or happy or comfortable. I do that and I feel happy or safe. I do that because it gives me a positive feeling. Now, bad habits have a positive intention, believe it or not. We're going to be talking about that on the show today, and the innocent misuse of thought. How bad habits are created by thought, they're sustained by thought, and they're ended with thought. Last part of the show, we're going to have Seamus come in, of course, our house leprechaun, all the way from Dublin, Ireland. And he's going to be talking about top 11 things you absolutely do not need to know about your thinking. Now, in case you're wondering why 11, well, it's simple. 11 is better than 10. That's why we have 11 things, and Jay Leno and all of those other guys have 10. They have a top 10 list. We have a top 11 list. Because 11 is better than 10. Now, if they were to have a top 11 list, you can be sure as God, as I'm here sitting, we'd have a top 12 list. Just again, so that we're one, well, 12 would be better. All right. Life is simple. Our thoughts make it complicated. Here's the thing. Thought is the source of all our experience. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, some of it is thought, Dermot, and some of it is real. I have clients. Oh, by the way, I just got my my new designation. I am the Celtic coach, but I'm now a certified Supercoach. Yeah, so I'm kind of like Superman. Like Superman, he's got superpowers. He can, he's got his rays out of his eyes. He's very strong. He can fly around. Well, I've got similar powers as a Supercoach. I can zap you with a question and fix all your problems. Not really, but that's the intention behind it. I can listen to what you're saying and make sense of it. I can hear all the dribble, drabble, hubble, blah, 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 all the problems. And I can see, as a super coach, you have no problems. It's just your thinking. Yeah, amazing superpowers as a super coach. I just got I was on a 6-month course there to be a super coach, a transformative super coach. So I'm the Celtic super coach. And if you want to know more coaching, if you just want to have a conversation with me, I am available. Like, people say, oh, Dermot, you wouldn't be interested in my silly problems. Rubbish. I'm interested in silly problems. I like silly problems. I'm like Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock's not in it for the money. He's in it for the case. How interesting is the case? If you've got thinking going on, if you've got a challenge, if you've got something that you're struggling with, go to my website, thecelticcoach.com. And you can sign up there. It says have a chat with Dermot. You can click on it and it'll bring you to the Acuity scheduling and schedule some time to talk to me. Now, I'm not going to sell you coaching. If coaching is for you and you're interested in it, great. But I'm not going to sell you any coaching. So don't worry about, it's a secret way of getting me to call. Not. Let's have a conversation. See if I can be of use in some way. All right. Let's jump into the show. But before we do that, let's play the happy-go-lucky Irish music one more time, just so that you can be sick of it by the end of the show. All right, welcome to the show. We got a great show for you today. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about life is simple. All the rest is your thinking. I know it sounds simple. It sounds simple. And you're going to find out how simple it really is. Stay tuned, everyone. Welcome. Glad all of you could make it. And we'll talk in a bit. Feel free to jump around the room while the happy Irish music is playing. Now would be a good time to start jumping. There you go. Doesn't that feel good? What a great song. What a great song. I got to put some lyrics to that song. Happy-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky. All right, never mind. I'm going to start off the show today, everyone, with a quote from Lao Tzu. And no, I didn't say you were too loud. I just said Lao Tzu. Do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles? Actually, I think it's mind. Do you have the patience to wait until your mind settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? And by the way, if you're wondering what the dramatic pause there, I was belching, and so I had to turn the microphone off. Yeah, it's one of those human things, you know. We're all human. Do you have the patience to wait until your mind settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? That, in a quote from Lao Tzu, is the essence, is the meat and potatoes, is the heart and soul of what we're going to be talking about today. Life is simple. All the rest is your thinking. I'm going to do my best to prove to you that that is true. Well, that's a tall order, Dermot. That's a really tall order. It is. I know it is. But I've been coaching a lot of people around this, and I've seen a few things. And some of them I want to share with you, and some of them I want to forget. All right, so let's jump in. Soothing yourself with thoughts of the future. What does that mean? For a good portion of my life, I spent a lot of time in the future. I spent a lot of time trying to calm myself down. Now, I was smoking at one point and, you know, did all sorts of other stuff that we won't go into, but did everything to try and calm myself so that I could enjoy the moment. I did everything that I could to try and relax myself so I could actually just enjoy being present with myself or with another human being. But the problem was for me, back in the day, and still today, I still struggle with it today, but just not nearly as much. It's completely different. Back in the day, I couldn't settle myself enough. Now, have you ever noticed that when you're trying to settle yourself, the thing that you're trying to settle is your thinking? Now, here's a question. I'm going to start the show off with a question. And I think it's the most profound question that has ever been asked. Not because I'm asking it on the Celtic Culture Radio show, although that's, you know, that's pretty good in itself. But because I think it's at the heart of where the suffering in the world is coming from. Where all suffering is coming from. And here's the question. Now, I know when I ask this question, you'll think Dermot's insulting my intelligence. Or Dermot, there's something else in that tea besides sweet rose. It's good stuff. I don't know if you're allowed to do that on the radio. Are you allowed to drink tea on the radio? I don't know. I'll have to check in with the station to find out if that's good. I know cursing and all that is out, but drinking tea and allowing people to hear, I'm not sure. All right. Have you ever considered, dear listeners, that was for you, Shay. Have you ever considered that your thoughts have anything to do with your experience of life? Now take a moment, grab a cup of tea, and ask yourself, have you ever considered, and I'm just asking you to consider this, not to take it on as my truth or your truth. These are just things that I've learned, and I'm sharing them with you in the hopes that you'll find something useful. But have you ever considered that your thoughts have anything to do with your experience of life? Now, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would have said to you, rubbish. I would have said to you that no, life, Dermot, is I can't pay my rent. People are hassling me. I don't know what to do with myself in life. I live in LA. I'm not happy here. The traffic, the pollution, the air, the heat, the cost of living. Now, I never would have considered that it was my thoughts that was creating my experience. I never would have considered, and I mean this honestly, not even considered, that my thoughts had anything to do with my unhappiness. It did not come into my realm of thinking or my realm of awareness at all. And if you had to ask me, well, Dermot, have you ever considered that your thoughts have anything to do with your experience of life? I would have said no. I just told you all the reasons, external, why my life is the way it is. Now, what I've come to notice, everyone, in the years following that and today, is the topic of our show today. Life is simple, all the rest is my thinking. Yours too. Is that the only thing that I could distinguish between what was going on in the outside world and what was going on in me, the bridge was my thinking. The bridge from my present to my past, I kept my past alive through my thinking. And I went to 12-step programs. I went to therapists. When I was 30, my whole life fell apart, and I learned so much from that. And I don't even want to say my life fell apart. It was time for me to grow up. It was time for me to stretch out of what I thought was real. It was time for me to gain a deeper awareness about what was really going on. So I'm gonna change that. My life wasn't falling apart. My life was rebuilding itself. But in order to do that, sometimes the old structure, actually mostly, the old structure's got to go. And so that's what happened to me when I was 30. And I started to see that the bridge between the present and the past was thinking. And the thing between the present, the thing between where I was and what I wanted for my life was through my thinking. That was the vehicle that would get me there. Think about it, everyone, for a moment. The way we look at something in our lives determines the outcome or creates the experience of that. Now, the way we look at something, we can only look at something through our thinking. I was looking at my past and I was saying, oh, my past is this, and I had a horrible, dysfunctional past, and I have all these problems and I have all these things that are going on. And I kept rehashing the past. And there's nothing wrong with process work and techniques and all of that stuff. It has its time and its place. But I have to say, for me today, the bubble is starting to burst. And I can't even explain to you really how it's bursting. It's more of a feeling. It's more of a, I'm more happy for no good reason. You know? I'm just more joyful and more at ease for no good reason. And that's how I know something is changing in my life, because before, in order for me to be happy, there had to be a reason. In order for me to be joy-filled, there had to be something in the external world that I was joyful about. Let's take a very simple example. When I was 34, Michael, mentor of mine. Hello, Michael. He came to my house and he brought a truck. Now, I was struggling to pay the rent and I didn't have any money for a car. And he showed up in this truck, this Dodge Dakota truck, a brown one. And he said, look, Dermot, he said, I don't need this truck anymore. Why don't you have it? And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is incredible. And I was so happy about the truck. I mean, I was elated. I was elated. Hey, I got a truck, and this is great. I could drive around L.A. because you need a car. And I didn't have one. I didn't have money for one. And I was just so happy about the truck. And one day, the truck broke down. And I remember my joy and my happiness about the truck went to frustration and anger and disappointment. And I thought to myself, now how is it that 2 days ago I was the happiest man on the planet because I had gotten a truck, and today I'm the most miserable looking wretch on the planet, the sorriest Irishman you'll ever see on the planet? How is that possible? And I didn't realize it at the time. I said it was the truck. The truck had caused me to be unhappy. But looking back now, I realized that there was nothing going on except my thinking. When the truck was going, I was happy. My thinking was, hey, life is great. When the truck broke down and I couldn't go anywhere, my thinking was, my life sucks. I don't have a truck. I can't go anywhere. Here's another proof that I suck as an individual. Or whatever the pity party I was having at the time. And there's nothing wrong with pity parties. I encourage people to have pity parties. If you're feeling down, allow yourself to feel it. And when it's done and over, move on with your life. Or if you want to get crazy, if you're feeling down, have a pity party. Really go into it. Say, I really feel crap. I'm going to eat a bunch of Doritos, some popcorn, watch a couple of crap movies. I'm really going to enjoy this pity party. If I'm going to have a pity party, I'm as hell going to make it the best pity party on the planet. A lot of peas. Why not? If you're going through something, why not make it an experience? If you're going through something, why not get the best out of a terrible situation, feeling, emotion, experience, whatever it might be? Now when I'm feeling down, not always, I just allow myself to feel it. We're going to talk more about that a little bit later. All right. So, I realize that the bridge between the past and the present and the future is the correlation there, the connection there is my thinking. Worry, anxiety, insecurity. When we worry about something, or when we're anxious about something, or we're insecure, it's not that we are insecure. It's not that we are anxious. It's not that I am worried. Think about it for a moment. Now, there are ways, there are soothing mechanisms. When you've got a problem and you start worrying about it, in a way it kind of soothes you. It's something to do while you're waiting for the solution to appear. You worry about it. But have you noticed that worrying doesn't do anything except make you feel like crap? In the words of the great George Pransky, I was listening to George Pransky, and if you don't know who he is, go look him up on YouTube. Pransky, Pransky, George Pransky. He's one of, in terms of a philosopher, in terms of I don't know how to describe it, just a man who's helping a lot of people. And he's connected to this work that I'm talking about today, the 3 principles as it's called. But it's really just understanding where your experience comes from. If you really, really want to hear somebody who knows what he's talking about, don't listen to me. I'm good for a Friday. George is good Saturday through Monday. But one of the things he said in there, he shared a story, and I thought it was really cool. It was a very cool story. He shared a story about these clients that he's working with. And one client came in and he said anytime a client comes in and they're worried about something, they're like, hey, I need to do something here, but I don't know what I need to do. And usually what happens, of course, is people worry. They get anxious. Now, they are not that worry. They have insecure thinking. They have anxious thinking. They have fearful thinking. They have worried thinking. You can't be worried. You're a spiritual being. You're connected to a whole cosmos. You are the cosmos. You can't be worry. Love can't be fear and love. Love is love. A dog can't be a cat and a rhinoceros and a flower. A dog is a dog. Nothing else. So we as spiritual beings cannot be worry, insecurity, or fear, or, idiots, or whatever label you want to label yourself. We have that thinking. We have insecure thinking. So to get back to George, and if you're listening, George, hello, sir. Aaron Turner's coming up on the show very soon. Where I'm talking, it's George's nephew, and he's going to come on the show. That's going to be a great show. All right. George says when someone comes to him, they say, George, I've got to do something here, but I don't know what to do. I'm worried about it. Worry is self-soothing. Worrying is something to do while you're waiting or forcing a solution to come. Worrying is like standing in the rain, taking a pee, and then telling everyone it's just the pee. No, it's actually raining. I have no idea how that analogy is helpful or even understandable. But however, some people like to pee in the rain and tell themselves it's raining. It's not. It's just peeing. Again, I've still no idea where that was going to go. So George says, hey, so you have a problem. You don't know what to do. You're worrying about it, thinking that worrying is going to help, and worrying is just insecure thinking. It's worried thinking, and all worried thinking does is it gives you more worried thinking. Have you noticed? When you're stressed or worried about something, the only thing it gives you, it doesn't give you an answer. It doesn't give you peace. It's a way to self-soothe, but it's a way to self-soothe through worrying about the problem. I know it's dynamic and yet crazy. So George says, look, you don't know what to do. Yeah, that's right, George. Well then, why don't you do nothing until you know what to do? Now listen to that again, dear listeners. Why don't you do nothing until you know what to do? In other words, remember I shared the Lao Tzu? Do you have the patience to wait until your mind settles and the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving until the right action arises by itself? Not through your worried thinking. The right action will arise by itself when you're calm. Have you ever noticed, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed that when you're worried or anxious or feeling insecure, again, feeling insecure, thoughts create feelings, so it's insecure thinking. It's not that you are insecurity. I'm insecure, Dermot. Rubbish. There's no such thing as a person being insecure. You have insecure thinking, and that thinking tells you that you're insecure. But you can't be. A dog can't be a cat. A dog is a dog. You're a spiritual being. You are a soul. You are a part of the cosmos. You are not worried. You are not sick. You are not unhappy. You have thinking around that, but you're not that. Think about that for a moment, everyone, what George says to his patients. If you don't know what to do, do nothing until something comes to you, until you have an insight, until you have a thought. When I sit down on Friday mornings, I sit down every Friday morning at 9 o'clock, and I have the topic for the show, right? Life is simple, all the rest is your thinking. And I have, you've noticed that I have 3 parts to every show. The first one was soothing yourself with thoughts of the future. We're doing that constantly. Self-soothing in the moment. Now, if you could just allow yourself in the moment to feel that worriedness or to feel that anxious thinking for a moment, it would pass. But we don't, do we? As Lao Tzu says, we don't wait. We don't wait until the right action arises. We don't wait until your mind settles. We don't wait until the water is clear. We got to do something. I got to make something happen. I got to find a solution. I got to sort this out. I got to fix this problem. I got to fix that person. If we just allowed ourselves to feel that for a minute or two, it would pass. And at some point in that journey, a new thought, an insight, a new perspective would come forward. You cannot worry yourself into a solution. You cannot worry yourself into an insight. You cannot anxiously think yourself into a solution. You've got to be willing, as Lao Tzu says, to have the patience and allow your mind to settle. Now, the good news is your mind will settle all on its own. It has the mind has this little, you know those buoys out there on the ocean? if you push the buoy down under the water, it will always come back up to the surface and stop moving, become still. But we think that if we keep pushing the buoy down in the water, it's going to create a solution to the problem. It never does. The mind has got to be somewhat still in order for new solutions to come. If you just sit with your insecure thinking for a few moments and just allow it to bubble up and go out, in other words, allow the buoy to come to the surface and to get still. I'm not talking about meditation or anything like that, although that's wonderful. I'm just talking about allow yourself to just land the plane. So powerful. So soothing yourself with thoughts of the future. The reason we rely on the future or the outside world for comfort is because we think it will fix the inside thinking. Let me say that again, then we're going to go for a break. The reason we rely on the future or the outside world, a car, a person, a place, a holiday, for comfort is because we think that will fix our insecure thinking. That will fix our worried thinking. That will fix our anxious thinking. It can't. It can't. You might think it can. I got a new car. I'm all happy. Life is great. And then somebody scratches the car, or a year later it's something else. This is big, everyone. This is big. If you can get just a sense of what I'm talking about today, I really hope you can. You will see that life is actually pretty simple. All the rest is just your thinking. That was dramatic. All right, let's play the happy-go-lucky Irish music, and we'll be right back. Bad habits, an innocent misuse of thought. Life is simple, all the rest is your thinking. All right, that's the best I could do on short notice. All right, welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Celtic Coach radio show, where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet on KOWS, KOWS.FM, F for Frank, and M for Matilda. And you can catch us on the wacky and World Wide Web at KOWS.FM or on the dial in your car at 92.5 FM. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're talking about life is simple, all the rest is your thinking. We talked about soothing yourself with thoughts of the future. I'm going to move it a little bit now, just a little bit to the left. And we're going to talk about bad habits, an innocent misuse of thought. Think about it this way, everyone. When you're in black and white in life, when you know what to do, then you don't have any worry about it. It's like, okay, this is a no-brainer. This is what I got to do. When you're in the black and the white, we do great. We don't worry. We know what to do. We go and we do it. All good. When we're in the gray of life, in the area where we don't know what to do, but we want to know, or we think we should know until we know. As George says, don't do anything until you know what to do. But we don't do that, do we? When we're in the gray, we worry. We have worried thinking, stressful thinking, anxious thinking, fearful thinking. Now, let's pull this to a bad habit. A bad habit is just something that you feel compelled to do or not to do. so that you can feel safe or happy or comfortable, whatever it might be. But the feeling that you're looking for is thought created. You see, here's the thing, everyone. Most people on the planet think that we live in a circumstance. No, let me rephrase that. That our feelings come from the outside world. Someone scratched my car. I can't believe it. Oh, I feel so bad. My wife left me. Oh, my God, I can't believe it. I didn't get that job. Oh, that's why I'm unhappy. When the truth is, it's the thoughts about your wife leaving you. It's the thoughts about getting the scratched car. Because you can't have a feeling without a thought. We live in a thought-created reality. Now, that doesn't mean there isn't an outside world of reality. There is, of course. I just knocked on the table, even though it's atoms and photons of light, and there's nothing there. But you get the idea. We live in a reality. But it's a thought-created reality in terms of how we experience the world is through thought. In how we create emotions, feelings through thought. Think about it for a moment. When everything is going well in your life, where are your thoughts? Oh, it's great, the hills are alive with the sound of music. Da-dun, da-dun. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Right? Happy thoughts. When you're down and you're in the gray, oh, my life sucks. Where are your thoughts? Your thoughts are on what's not working, what you don't have, what's missing in your life, what's crappy about your life. Your thoughts are on lack. They're on the president. They're on this. They're on that. I don't care if you have the best president on the planet in office. It's going to have nothing to do with your peace of mind. It's going to have nothing to do with your happiness. It's going to have nothing to do with you having a great life. It's just one less thing that you will have some fearful thinking around. Powerful. Now, I know we were talking about bad habits. Let's get back to it. Every negative behavior, every bad habit that you have has a positive intention. Let me share a story. When I was about 6, I started smoking. And I hated it when I first started it. But all my friends were doing it. So I thought, hey, I want to be cool. I want to be like my friends. And I'll keep at this until I like it. You ever notice the first time you took a drink, you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. But because other people were doing it, then your thinking told you, hey, you got to be part of the group. You got to be part of the pack. You want acceptance? Well, then you got to do this. And I smoked all the way through well, I didn't finish high school, but I left school when I was about 15. And I moved to Dublin and I smoked. And then I went to Germany and I smoked. Even more so because the Germans were smoking a lot. Germans and the Irish still smoke a lot. British too. Not so much anymore in America. And thank God for it. But and then when I moved to America then in 1995, November, everything in my life happens in November. My birthday's even in November. It's very interesting. Everything happens in my life in November. Came to LA in November. My first time with a lady was in November. All right. I'm sure probably the first time I had a cigarette was in November. And came to the States and was smoking. And what I realized was I never thought about why I actually smoked. Like I never actually gave that any thought. I just felt compelled to smoke. And people said, that's a really bad habit, Dermot. You should give that up, Dermot. You know, that's going to kill you. I was like, thank you very much. Do you have a light? And It didn't matter how many people told me it was a bad habit. And I knew it was a bad habit. I knew smoking was bad for you. I mean, I'm not stupid. I knew, I've seen the ads in the back of the back of the cigarette box. I mean, I could read. Wait a minute. Cigarettes are really bad for you. They're saying it on the back of the packet. Huh. This could be serious. But it never dawned on me that it had a positive intention. And then one day I remember sometimes in my early 30s is when I stopped, and I remember asking myself, why do I smoke? Like, I never thought to ask myself, why do I do this? It's a great question, by the way, listeners out there. Why do I do this? Why do I get angry? Why do I spend so much time thinking? Why do I blah, 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 whatever it might be? Don't get lost in that thought now. But just ask yourself that. Why am I doing this? What's the value? Now, behind every negative behavior, there's a positive intention. And for me, what I realized about smoking was that every time I had a cigarette, it calmed me down. It relaxed me. And my positive intention for smoking was relaxed. I wanted to be relaxed. Now, when that hit me, when I realized that smoking, bad habits, whatever you want to call them, was about relaxing my thinking. Because it wasn't relaxing my body, it was relaxing my thinking. And have you noticed that when your thinking is relaxed, when you're not thinking about stuff or stressing or overthinking about things, that you're more resourceful, you're more peaceful, you're not biting your nails, you're just more present, more calm. When you're worried, you're less resourceful and you're all over the place at times. Now, that was powerful for me because I realized that every negative behavior has a positive intention. Every bad habit has a positive intention. So here's your question. You have something, a bad habit, and again, it's not the best way to describe it, but you have something that you're judging that you should not be doing. Something that you're judging that you're compelled to do. Ask yourself, what's the positive intention? Now, as soon as I got that the positive intention was to relax, a couple of weeks later I let go of cigarettes because I didn't need them anymore. There were other ways for me to relax. Safer ways for me to relax, like sitting down and having a cup of tea and just allowing the moment to present itself. Like sitting and just being with myself for 2 minutes out of 24 hours. You see, the bad habits, the suffering that comes from bad habits is thought created. I'm here, but I want to be there. I'm here, but I'm stuck in the past. I'm here, but I want to be doing something else. I'm here, but I want to be feeling something else. I'm here, but I want to be experiencing something else. Any journey from here to there is covered through thought. Isn't that amazing? I find that amazing. I think that's incredible. So ask yourself, whatever bad habit you have, ask yourself the positive intention, because it's an innocent misuse of thought. The thoughts are telling you that you need to do this. Now, I'm not giving you a prescription for how to get off drugs or stop smoking or any of that. I'm sharing my experience, and maybe something you'll have an insight. I had an insight around that, and that insight changed my life overnight. And the insight was simply this, that I'm smoking because it calms my thinking down. I didn't know it at the time, but I know it now. And I realized then that, hey, I don't need to smoke in order to calm my thinking down. There are other ways that I can do that are actually more fun. Because I was getting thrown out of places for starting cigarettes. I remember a time when I used to fly home from Germany, you could smoke on the plane. It was, Happy days are here again. It was a good time. All right, let's. We got about 13 minutes left in our show, everyone. We're going to play the happy-go-lucky Irish music, and then we're going to have Seamus come in. And he just walked in. He's going to talk about the top 11 things you absolutely do not need to know about your thinking. And then we're going to finish up the show with life is simple, but it's our thoughts that make it complicated. Stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back. Cheers. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the Celtic Coach radio show where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet. All right. We're talking today about life is simple. All the rest is your thinking. Now, I'm going to finish off the show. Oh, Seamus, do you want to do your top 11 now? Of course I do. I'm here, haven't I? Well, you're here, Seamus, but you look a bit rough and red. Did you have what did you do to yourself, Seamus? Did you have a little rough night or something? Oh, I was out last night with the boys. It certainly looks that way, Seamus. You must have been out the whole blinking night, were you? Oh, I was out the last 4 nights, actually, to be totally honest about it. All right, was it a leprechaun celebration of some kind, Seamus? Oh, no, it wasn't a leprechaun celebration. We were just celebrating. We were leprechauns celebrating, but it wasn't a leprechaun celebration, if you know what I mean. All right, I'll be over there in a second. All right, come on. Jeez. Seamus, come on over here and do your thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Seamus O'Flaherty with the top 11 things you absolutely do not need to know about your thinking. All right, Seamus, here, come here. Yeah, I'll tell you. Come there now. Let me sit down there. Seamus, can you not use the other? Microphone? No, I want to use this microphone. You keep asking me that. I want to bloody use this microphone, and I'll have no more of your rubbish. So get out. All right, Seamus. You're a bit grumpy there today, Seamus. No, I'm a bit grumpy. You know, I'm not grumpy at all. You only say it's just your thinking. You think I'm grumpy, but I'm not. All right, Seamus. Well, I'm not going to argue with you, grumpy drawers. Yeah, you and your grumpy drawers. All right, hello, everyone. Seamus O'Flaherty here. Most of me is here. Some of me now is still at O'Brien's pub. But the rest of me is here. All right. Top 11 things you absolutely do not need to know about your thinking. Oh, bit Jesus now. Number 11. Your problems are more about your thoughts than the problem. Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. Seamus O'Flaherty says, I think, therefore I worry. I worry because I think. Number 11, I think myself into stress. I think myself out of stress. Maybe my stress is just my thinking. Number 9, every day my mother inspired me to be peaceful and to go within for guidance and clarity. She'd say, shut up, sit down, and don't move out of that for an hour. That was the way we meditated back in the day in our house. Number 8, wouldn't it be great if I could stop to think and then forget to start up again? Because usually I think and forget to stop for days and days and days. Number 7, in Ireland, growing up, I was never stressed about dieting or getting fat because we had this thing in Ireland back in the day called hunger. We weren't ashamed of it, but it was an inconvenience. Number 6, the best way to deal with stress is to do what you do with the bill. Just ignore it. Number 5, my mother spent days in bed growing up, worrying about this and worrying about that. I never had that problem because I didn't have a bed. Once, here's a side note for you now. Once my mother went out to the shop and I went in and I stole her bed. And I hid it away for a week. And do you know that my mother said it was the happiest 7 days she ever had in her life? All right, number 4. It's true. People with short-term memory have no stress because they've forgotten the past. People with normal memory stress about their past and worry about their future and forget the moment. Number 3. Stress is imaginary. It was created by the same person who created fairies, pink elephants, and the cow who apparently jumped over the moon. Number 2. What could possibly go wrong? I asked my brain. Glad you asked, he said. Number 1. The male human body is 80% water. That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, actually, the human body, not just the male. The female is too. 80% water. The planet, 80% water. Trump's brain, 80% water. So basically, I had to get that one in there. So basically, we're stressed out cucumbers with a brain. That was the top 11 things you absolutely do not need to know about your thinking. I'm Seamus O'Brien. You've been listening to the Celtic Coach radio show where science, spirituality and self-discovery meet. And that, my dear listeners, and I do mean my dear listeners, is no a blarney. Cheers, everyone. Thought is the source of all your experience. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much indeed. All right, we're back for another 6 minutes. So let's take it home. Have you ever considered that your thoughts have anything to do with your experience of life? After today, you might be thinking, maybe, Dermot, just maybe. Have you ever thought or considered, or are you open to the possibility that thought is the source of all your experience? Well, I don't know, Dermot. You certainly have put a little kink in the chain here, a little thorn in the rose, a little bit of a bubble in the bathtub. I'm going to say that thought is the source of all experience. It's crazy, I know. It's like a pink-headed elephant riding a bicycle. Crazy, but if you've seen it, you know it's true. We have thought. We think. One of the things we can do with thought is think. We have consciousness. Consciousness makes our thinking real. And we have mind, which is spirit, which is God, which is Yahweh, which is the known and the unknown, which is Jehovah, which is the Om, which is the spirit vibration, which is cosmic consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Barbara. I told my mother I called God Barbara. She wasn't very happy about it. And by the way, on my LinkedIn channel and my Facebook business page, every morning, Monday through Friday, I post a 5-minute video of me asking the question for today. So if you go to Dermot Butterly to LinkedIn or to Facebook, you can watch those. They're barely 3 to 5 minutes every morning. I ask a question, I share an experience of my life, and then I pose a very deep, a very powerful, a very meaningful, a very valued-centered, heart-centered, wrenching question for today. And pretty cool questions, I have to say. I'm pretty impressed by them. Not just because I'm coming up with them. So feel free to check that out. Very cool. And write a comment, too, if you like. All right, what do we want to talk about here? We got 6 minutes. Dermot, the pressure's on. You got to go. When you're doing a task, so life is simple, our thoughts make it complicated. The 24 hours in the day are the same for everyone. Right? At least from the Gregorian calendar point of view. Thank you to the Roman Church for creating it. But from the Gregorian calendar, we have 24 hours and a certain amount of months. And when we're doing a task in that time frame, it's pretty easy to do the task when you know how. Why? Because you don't have any thinking around it. You're just doing it. Now, when we're doing a task that we don't know how to do it, we don't know why we're doing it, we're not sure where, when, how, why, what it's going to look like, we start to think about it. And if we don't figure it out, or we can't get a proper answer or a clear answer, we start to worry about it. All of that vehicle is through our thinking. Now, when we're doing something that we're enjoying, think about any habit in your life, something that you enjoy to do. A hobby or whatever it is. You enjoy it because there's no thinking. Now, you may have the thought, oh, this is fun, this is enjoyable, but for the most part, when you're making love, you're not thinking about it. Am I doing this right? Is this going well? Should I get a cup of tea? Do you need anything here? There's no thinking. Lovemaking is such a great example of that. And I highly encourage everyone to do it. But make sure you're of age, whatever that is. So let's bring this home. Here's a few questions for you. How was the things of this world created? Like when you look out into the world, I'm looking around the radio station here. Couches, CDs, chairs, water, tables, buckets, computers, phones, electrical equipment. How was all that created? Through thought. Someone had a thought. Hey, here's a great idea. All ideas come from thought. How do we experience the things of this world? Through thought. I like that. I don't like that. That makes me feel sad. That makes me feel happy. Not true. Our thinking about it makes us feel happy or sad. We have a thought. A thought creates a feeling. And that feeling creates reality. We say that feeling is reality. I feel good. I feel bad. I feel happy. I feel worried. I feel sad. I don't like that person. They make me feel this way. I don't like my job. I need to change it. They make me feel that way. I don't like my wife. I got to change her because she makes me feel blah, blah, blah. All through our thinking. How are we destroying this world at the moment? Through our thought. I'm not happy with this. We got to change that. They got to change that. They got to come around to our way of thinking. They don't think like we do. They got to change their thinking. How do I get a new life, Dermot, you might ask? It's simple. You must be willing, in order to get a new life, to create a new life, a simple life. And by the way, your life is simple. Anytime you're feeling good, is your life simple? Yeah, life is good. Anytime you're stressed or worried, is your life simple? No, it's not. It's the opposite. The common denominator? You're thinking. So a new life is simply being willing not to think the thoughts that got you there in the first place. Well, Dermot, how do I stop my thoughts? You don't have to stop your thoughts. It's not possible. It's not possible for you to stand out in front of a freight train and put your hand up and stop it. But you can stand by the tracks and notice the train going by, knowing that it's going to go by, and that maybe an hour later there'll be another one. Your thoughts are like that. They come and go all day long. The innocent misuse of thought, everyone, is that we take our thoughts, we start thinking. It's one of the things we can do with thinking. And then we just keep perpetuating those thoughts, and that creates worry. Right? Thoughts that are on the wheel of your mind create worry, anxious thinking, insecure thinking, fearful thinking, worry thinking, stressful thinking. It's not coming at you, it's coming from you. The experience of the world is not coming at you, it's coming through you. You're not a camera taking in the world. You're a projector projecting your thoughts out onto the world. That's powerful to know that, everyone. Because then it's not the person that's the problem. It's not the place that's the problem. It's not the new car that's the problem. It's not the daughter or the son who's acting in a way that you don't like is the problem. Your thinking about it gets you there. Your thinking about it creates the experience. So as I just wrap up today's show, everyone, take everything that I've said today and take it in. Don't take it as truth. Don't take it as, oh, well, if Dermot says it's true and he's Irish and he's really good looking and he's smart and he knows what he's talking about and he's been coaching for years. None of that. Take it in and ask yourself the questions. Have you ever considered that your thoughts have anything to do with your experience of life? Have you ever considered, or are you willing to consider, to take 5 minutes and consider that thought is the source of all your experience in life? Would you be willing? Are you open? Would you be willing to be open to consider that you are not worry, you are not stress, that you have worried thinking, you have stressful thinking? Thought creates a feeling, and that feeling is what we call the experience, whatever it is. Worry, stress, love, joy, peace, whatever it might be. So if you don't know what to do, dear listener, if you got something in your life, take any part of your life, something you've been worried about. Dermot, I've got to do this, but I don't know what to do. I've got this thing coming up, I don't know what to do. Don't do anything until you know what to do. And sometimes what to do is simply sit down, as Lao Tzu says, allow your mind to settle. Do you have the patience to wait until your mind settles? Most of us don't. Most of us want to force a solution. But have you noticed when you force a solution, you usually create more problems? At least I do in my life all the time. I did in my 30s. Oh my God, I won't even go into that. You see, our thoughts really are simple. Our lives are simple. But our thoughts do make life complicated. Now, that's not a judgment. That's just a fact, everyone. And if you're willing to look at that in your own life, you'll see that that's true for you too. So try on a few of these questions and see if they're true for you. You don't need to stop yourself from thinking. You don't need to use affirmations to change your thinking. Just notice your thinking. Observe it. And when you're worried, allow yourself to be that worried for a minute, for an hour, whatever it is, and then it'll pass. It's like a freight train. It will pass. It's like a ship on an ocean. It will pass. At some point, the ocean will go from being stormy to being calm again. And if you look at an ocean on the surface, it's very choppy, but underneath, very calm. And if you're willing to feel that choppiness or allow that choppiness to be there without forcing it away or forcing to do something with it, to change it, then that natural state, that natural calmness that you have, that Lao Tzu calls, are you willing to allow the mind to settle? The mind will settle, the heart will settle. And then you'll be in a much better place to make decisions or do whatever you need to do. Be easy about all of this stuff. Be easy about it. This life was not meant to be horrible, suffering, all of that stuff. And this is just my opinion. Life was meant to be fun. But we've innocently, and that's the word, innocently, we misuse thought. We've taken thought to a whole level that I don't think it was ever meant to be used for. Thought was meant to be used to create ideas, to be creative, to gain insights, awarenesses, new perspectives, think about things, solve things, create things, express things. Thought was never meant to be something that you were supposed to use to get worried about stuff, be stressed out about stuff. That's the innocent misuse. And it's innocent because we don't know that we're doing it. If we did know that we were doing that, and if we really knew that we live in a thought-created universe, if we really knew that thought is the source of all our experience, if we really knew that your thoughts have everything to do with your experience in life, then we wouldn't misuse our thought. But it's innocent until we know differently. So give yourselves a break. Give yourself infinite slack when it comes to working on something that you don't know what to do, when it comes to having to change something in your life, when something's come at you in life, some big change or something. See it as a way to experience it, not pushing it away or pushing it there, pushing it here. And wonderful things happen from just allowing life to be and allowing yourself to be in your life. Very powerful when we can do that, when there's no manipulation, when it's just, I'm gonna feel this, experience this, knowing that it will pass. This too shall pass. Joy will pass, peace will pass, thinking will pass, anxiety thinking will pass, all of that stuff, it passes. But we must be willing, as Lao Tzu says, to simply be a bit patient. We got to learn a bit more patience in our society, in our communities. And it starts with us, everyone. And if we can do it, then we can teach our kids a little more patience. It goes a long, long way. So life is simple, everyone. And all the rest, well, all the rest is just your thinking. I'm the Celtic Coach. You've been listening to the Celtic Coach radio show where science, spirituality, and self-discovery meet. We'll be back next Friday with a brand new show, so stay tuned for that one. Until then, if you want to check if you want to get a free copy of the show, feel free to either go to my website or you can just email me at thecelticcoach@gmail.com and I'll put you on the newsletter where I send out the free show every Sunday night. All right, until the next time, everyone, have fun, think big, stay curious. I'm the Celtic Coach, and that, my dear listeners, is no blarney. Cheers, everyone.